All right, great. I'm going to kick us off for today's webinar. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. My name is Aurora Dreger from the Educating All Learners Alliance, or ELA for short, and welcome to today's webinar, Using Accessible Media in the Classroom, hosted by ELA and the Described and Captioned Media Program. Before we dive into content, here are a couple of items, housekeeping items, so we can all enjoy today's presentation. Identify yourself when speaking. Saying your name helps participants who can't see the screen or folks who are following along with captions. So just say your name before you begin to speak if we come off of mute. We're primarily using the chat and Q&A functions. So feel free to ask questions, add comments. We really want to keep this interactive and lively. You can use the drop-down menu on the chat to directly message the hosts and panelists. That way your messages isn't seen by everybody. We have closed captioning enabled for this meeting through Zoom, and we also have a live captioner. And the link to view those live captions is in the chat. And my colleague Naomi will also be dropping the handout for today's presentation and other important links and items. She'll be refreshing the chat with that frequently. We are recording. You may have noticed that we're recording this session. We do this so it can be shared on ELA's YouTube page, kept in our archives and referenced for the future. But sensitive information, personal stories, all those things will be edited out before recording. There'll be plenty of links or emails, resources, anything that's shared in the chat. After the webinar, I will compile all of that into an email and send it out to everybody. So if you feel like you missed something, don't worry about it. You can always ping us in the chat to reshare, but I'll be following up with a link to this recording, plus all of the information shared. So before we dive in, I want to just share a little bit about ELA, just what we need, another acronym, right, in the world of special education. We are a coalition of organizations dedicated to producing and sharing resources, programs, and events just like this, specifically to support students with disabilities and learning differences. I am so excited to share today with Cindy Camp from Described and Captioned Media Program. Myself and my colleague Naomi will be monitoring the chat, assisting with Q&A and anything else like that. But Cindy, I pass it over to you to start off today's presentation.
Thank you very much. And as she said, my name is Cindy Camp. I work with the Described and Captioned Media Program. Let me just start off with the Described and Captioned Media Program is funded through the U.S. Department of Education. So everything I'm going to tell you about is a free service. Now, because we're free, that means we have to write for grants and we actually collect a lot of data. That's why you'll notice that there's a little QR code on this first slide. And if you wouldn't mind, I would greatly appreciate it if you have your phones handy, if you could just take a screenshot of this and connect to that QR code. It will take you to an evaluation, and it gives me a little bit of extra information that then we can report back to the feds on activities that I do, and it ensures that our funding stays in place. That's why that's there. And I'll pop it up again at the end of this presentation. And I just really appreciate it if you don't mind doing that. And we can also just send out the link in a follow-up email if for some reason QR codes are not your thing. I totally appreciate that as well. So the Described and Captioned Media Program were funded through the U.S. Department of Ed, and our mission is to promote and provide equal access to communication and learning through described and captioned educational media. So the really great thing is that educational videos have been around for such a long time, and they are a really good source of education. They inspire and engage students. They offer authentic learning opportunities. They allow you to take field trips that you wouldn't be able to take in real life because of expenses or because literally you can't go there. You can go on a safari in Africa, but you can travel into the past and learn about history. You can go into outer space. You can learn about the inside of the human body. There are so many things that videos can teach us that we wouldn't have the opportunity to do in real life. The problem is that most video producers do not take into account those who learn differently, who are not the average. And that's where DCMP comes in. We have been in existence since the 1950s. We actually started out adding captions to videos for individuals with hearing loss. And it started with private funding. It shifted over to government funding. And then in 2006, they added audio description for individuals who are blind or low vision. And so now we serve all students with disabilities who can benefit from captions and audio description. And that's really all students. And that's what I would like for you to come away from this webinar knowing, is that all of the UDL principles really do apply. What makes a video accessible for one group is going to enhance it for all students. And we want to make sure that no student is left out when they have this really great learning opportunity. So that's what we do. We add those captions and we add audio description. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the quality in a few minutes, but it's really important that quality is taken into consideration. But first, let's look at who would qualify for membership. I told you earlier that we are a free service. We're funded through the U.S. Department of Ed, and we're funded to serve students with disabilities. So any professional or family of a student, birth through high school age, with a disability can sign up for membership with us. It's a very short application process. And you go on our website, you fill it out, verify your email. That's one place that sometimes people hang up. They don't see our email back asking them to verify their email. And then it's very quick and painless. But we serve those students, the adults who work with them, and their families. This is if a student is still in a high school program, even after the traditional high school age, whatever that age is in your state, up to 21, 22, as long as they are still considered under the K through 12 umbrella, you would qualify for membership with us. We unfortunately are not allowed to serve those students who have graduated or left the K through 12 and moved on to post-secondary programs. And we're not allowed to serve adults. But hopefully we are going to be able to serve most of you who are attending today. And I hope that you will sign up for membership with us. You can access our services on almost any internet-enabled device, laptop, desktop, tablet, smartphone. We do have an iOS app. We do not have one for Androids, but I would actually recommend that the app be reserved for students, because on the app, the only thing you can access are the videos on our site. And you're going to see that our website has a lot more than just the videos. Although we do have over 13,000 educational videos that you can access, and they're all fully accessible with captions, audio, and audio description. I mentioned quality. DCMP actually wrote the standards for captioning quality. We did a lot of research, and our research is based on how children read. So it is all how children are going to be able to access captions the best. You may notice a lot of times when you see closed captions on TV that they're in all caps, there's a black background, and all caps, white letters. Actually, all caps is one of the hardest things to read. You really need upper and lowercase letters with the letters descending below the line, because this is how children learn to read. And when the letters mirror what they see in books, it makes it easier for them. But we've done all of that research. You can access the full guidelines on our website. This slide just shows a very short summary of some of those guidelines. And I wanted to just share that with you really quickly. But in the handouts, you'll have a link to the full guidelines. Now, earlier, some of my videos were not playing really well. And I'm hoping this one will come through clearly, but you can let me know if it doesn't. I love this example because I think it brings it home when you have very good captions and not so good captions. So what I did is I took a sample video. It happens to be the trailer for the original Toy Story movie. And the first time through, the captions are the automatic captions using AI technology. And the second time through are DCMP style captions. It is voiced the entire video, but the voice actually follows the style of the captions, so that even if you can't see the captions, you'll see how terrible they are. So let's take a look.
Sergeant gets served. Establish a recon post downstairs. Code red. Repeat, we are code red. Recon plan. Charlie, execute move. It's Walt Disney Pictures presents a totally new animated motion picture event. Star Command, come in. Do you read me? The story of two toys. There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere. Hello, Chloe. I'm headed for a showdown. My name is Woody. This is my spot. I am Buzz Lightyear. I come and be you are a child. Plaything. You are a sad, strange little man, and playing by their own rules. Draw me again. I don't like confrontation by Vulcan alien where you're mocking me, aren't you? You. Music. Oh, impressive wingspan. Very good. Oh, what? Wow. Can't fly. Yes. I can. Can't. Can. Can't. Can. This holiday season, the adventure takes off. When toys come to life. Oh, and Finity and beyond. Toy Story. Look. Dad. Applause. Music.
Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Establish a recon post downstairs.
Code red. Repeat. We are in code red. Recon plan Charlie. Execute. Move, 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 move. It's a big one.
Walt Disney Pictures presents a totally new animated motion picture event.
Star Command, come in. Do you read me?
The story of two toys.
There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
Oh, yeah.
Headed for a showdown.
My name is Woody. This is my spot.
I am Buzz Lightyear. I come in peace.
You are a child's plaything!
You are a sad, strange little man.
And playing by their own rules.
Draw. Me again. like confrontations. Buzz, look, an alien! Where?
You're mocking me, aren't you?
Oh, impressive wingspan. Very good. Oh, what? You can't fly.
Yes, I can.
Can't.
This holiday season, the adventure takes off when toys come to life.
To infinity
And beyond.
Toy Story.
Look out!
can.
So I'm sure you noticed a dramatic difference between the two styles of captions. What happens a lot of times in the classroom is teachers will pull up a YouTube video and they see the CC button, and it uses automatic captions, which bring up the style in the first video I showed you. And as you can tell, those really do not provide access at all. Think about the children that you work with. Even proficient readers are going to struggle to make sense out of that if they don't have any audio to go with it. So that's why we really want to emphasize that the quality of the accessibility feature is key. If it isn't high quality, then you're not going to have true access. The same is true with audio description. And audio description is probably 20, 25 years behind where captioning is. We all know what closed captions are. We see them on the TV regularly. If you go into a restaurant, oftentimes the sound will be turned off, but captions will be on. If you're in an airport or in a busy setting, they'll likely have the captions turned on. However, today, there are still many people who have never heard audio description. It is not very standard on television programs, and so it's still lagging behind. Basically, what happens with audio description for the blind and low vision is a program will someone who can't see the program is missing out on all of that visual content. So a script writer will come in and look at all of the things that are visual and decide they'll prioritize what is most important. And then in those downtimes where there is not dialogue, they will write and summarize what is the most important visually, and then a narrator will come in and speak what needs to be said to give people that additional information. This can be very challenging in some videos, especially educational videos where there's not a lot of pauses in the dialogue. So it's a very difficult thing to do with some videos, and it's challenging for those students who need this accommodation. Again, DCMP helped write standards for audio description. This slide shows just a summary of some of the things that are involved in quality audio description, and you can go to our website to see in depth what all of that entails. And again, that's in the handouts. I wanted to play just a short clip from To Kill a Mockingbird, which is another video you can access on our website. One of the things that will sometimes happen with audio description, to save money, some companies will want to use a computerized voice to as the narrator. And think about it, when you're using a video to engage students and to get them interested in a subject, and the whole video is upbeat and engaging, And then suddenly in these pauses, a computerized voice comes on and gives the description of what the blind or low vision student's missing. It's really not engaging anymore. And I heard one company say, well, but these students, if they're blind or low vision, they're used to listening to a computerized voice. So it's no big deal. And that really struck me when I heard that, because the underlying message that I heard was, it's not important enough for us to go that extra mile and do something to make the entire video engaging for them. They're just going to have to put up with what we're willing to give them. And I hope that we don't feel that way. I think it is important that each student has an equal opportunity to learn. And you'll notice in this video that we chose a very engaging narrator who actually matches the tone of the film, because she has a mild Southern accent, which matches the setting of To Kill a Mockingbird, which is in the South in the 1930s. So let me play that for you.
Morning. Jim, Dill, and Scout come out of the side door.
Hey, Jim. I bet you a gray ghost against 2 Tom Swifts. You wouldn't go any farther than rightly skated. Or...
Jim waves him off and walks out into his yard.
Scared, George. I ain't scared. I go past Blue Radley's house nearly every day of my life. Always running. You hush up, Scout.
Jim shoves her into a bush. The boys take off. Scout follows as Jim rolls a big tire into the street.
Me first, me first, me first, me first. You gotta let Dale be first. No, me. I'll let her be first. All right, get in.
Scout curls herself into the rim of the tire, bracing her feet and hands.
You ready? Let her go.
Jim rolls the tire with Scout inside, building up speed. With a final push, the tire and Scout roll down the street. The boys gape as it heads toward the Radley house.
Dale!
She rolls past the fence and crashes into the broken porch steps.
Scout, get away from there! Scout, come on!
Jim yells from the street.
Scout, don't just lie there! Get up!
Sitting on the ground, Scout shakes her head. Jim rushes to her.
Come on.
So now you have an idea of what audio description is and what good audio description is. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a peek at the DCMP website and what we offer. This is a screenshot of a player page. You see the video player to the left. To the right is information about each of the videos. There's a paragraph that tells you a summary of that video. Below the paragraph are the topics and subtopics, and you can click on each of those to see other videos in the categories. There's a recommended grade and interest level. Below that are the standards, which I'm going to come back to. Then there's a release year. And you'll notice that some of our videos may be older. We do try and get videos that will have a long shelf life and keep them as long as possible. However, we add 300 to 500 hours of new content every year. So our library is continually growing. So don't think just because you see a few older videos that there's no new content in there. Then you'll see a producer or distributor, and you can click on that link to see other videos from that producer. And if this were part of a series, you would see a series link. Now I want to talk about the standards. Each video is correlated with Common Core and state standards. It makes it very easy for teachers to search for a video to teach a specific standard or to document a video that they find and what standards it's related to. We are always updating this as well. And if you have any feedback for us, please let us know. But we want to make it easy for teachers to find what they're looking for and to document that each of our videos is very academically sound. Below the video, you can see the language and accessibility. We have quite a few videos in Spanish as well as everything in English. Cinema mode means full screen. Report a problem. If you ever have any issues, please click this button. It sends us some information about your system, which helps our tech people problem solve with you, and we try and get back to you as quickly as possible. And the transcript. This is another feature that makes our videos special. You can click on that button, and below the video, you get this pop-up, and you can choose captions and/or audio description. If you choose both, the transcript will show both the description and the captions. As you can see here, the describer and then the female narrator. So that actually makes a video accessible to an individual who is deaf-blind. You can download the full transcript and they can access it through refreshable Braille, and then the video is accessible to them. You can also search through a transcript for a particular word or phrase and jump to that point in the video. So it makes it easy to search to specific point. If a student wants to see just part of a video, if it were a math video and they needed to see how to do one particular thing and they didn't want to see the whole thing, or if a teacher needs to break a video up into parts, they can watch half of it during one class and then write down a phrase and type that in the next class and jump back to that point to start the next day. We also use player-based accessibility, which means it gives you a lot more control and flexibility over how you watch the video. You can actually slow down or speed up the video. You can slow it down to 75 or 50%. And even at 50%, you're not going to notice very much audio distortion, which makes it really nice if you're working with students who may need a little bit of extra time to process what they're seeing or to read the captions. It's great. You slow it down. They have more time to take in the video, to read the captions, to go along with it. You can speed it up to scan through to find a particular point in a video. You can also, as I mentioned, we have some videos that are in both English and Spanish. This is great for bilingual families. If perhaps the student speaks English in school, but Spanish at home, you can actually have the audio in Spanish and the captions in English, which can be beneficial to both the students and the family. But you can mix and match those features. You can also adjust the caption settings. So if you have a student who may need perhaps they have hearing loss and vision loss, you can enlarge the captions, you can change the color settings, change the font, change the background of the captions, whatever that individual student needs. You can adjust all of those for their individual needs. And now we're adding ASL as another accessibility feature. And I was having a little bit of trouble. This video was not playing well earlier, so I'm not going to play it, but we have somewhere over 500 videos that we have now added ASL to. And we're doing this for all ages because we recognize that it's not just the younger students who like ASL. Some older students with hearing loss prefer ASL over reading captions, and actually watching it in ASL and then watching with captions can improve their reading skills. So having that ASL is very beneficial, but also not just for those with hearing loss, but those who are autistic. Many of those children enjoy ASL as a communication mode too. So this is very beneficial to them as well. Then some other things you can do. You can actually embed our videos into a LMS or a web page. And the icon below with our social media, that is this little purple icon with the greater than, less than, and the slash in the middle. When you click that, it will actually give you the code you need to embed our videos into an LMS. To embed the videos, you actually need to create student accounts, which I'll go over in just a minute. You can also now create clips and lessons. For this one, I found a video on the Trojan War. I put in a question about the Trojan War, and then I found a timeline, which was a PDF document, and put that in there as well. And then the students would click on the lesson and go through this sequentially. To do the clips and lessons and to embed these, you need to create student accounts. And we allow you to do that very easily by putting in the students' names. And we recognize that not all school systems want you putting the students' names out there. So we don't even require that they be real names. It can be student A, student B. But you decide what information, how you want to name the student, and then you set up their accounts, and then you assign media to them. You can assign them, decide what grade levels and what categories they're allowed to see. You can go ahead and say this third grader can see all of the math videos they want, but under the counseling and self-help, there are some sticky topics. So I'm going to assign those individually. And that's this little icon that looks like a play button with the plus symbol. And you assign individual videos. We do not allow students to have their own individual accounts because we do have some sensitive topics such as sex education, drug and substance abuse, and we wouldn't want younger students to find those on their own. So the accounts belong to the adults. The adults can set up student accounts, and then there's actually a share code. So if one teacher sets up an account, they can then share that account with all that student's other teachers, or a parent can set it up and share with all the teachers. And that way the student has one login, but all of the adults in that student's lives can feed videos into that account. We cover all the academics, math, science, history for pre-K through high school, but we also have academic skills, self-advocacy, job skills, transition, life skills, anything you would want to cover with students. We're going to have a video on that topic. At the bottom of each page, we're going to have some additional menu items. We have recommend media. If there are any topics or specific videos you would like to recommend to us, please do. As I said, we add many, many videos each year. We also have an accessible television portal where we have a lot of educational television programs. They're also fun. And a lot of times teachers and parents will use these as an incentive to students because they may not even realize that they're learning when they watch these. And because everything on our site is safe and you know what's in that student's account, you can say, fine, you finished your homework early, you can go have 15 minutes of screen time. And you know that nothing you didn't allow on their site is going to pop up. There's nothing there that you don't know about. We also have some training modules. These are transition curriculum. We have Map It, What Comes Next, which is a full transition curriculum for deaf and hard of hearing. We have Getting a Job. There's one for deaf and hard of hearing, one for blind and low vision. We have training modules that teach sight reading Braille, which we want the students who are blind and low vision and using Braille. We wanted their classmates to be able to learn Braille along with them. We wanted their families to be able to learn Braille at home. So these modules are freely available to everyone, and they're fun. They're set up for 4th grade and up and very enjoyable. We have training modules for teachers and adults to earn continuing education. We actually we're in the middle of one set of quick classes. These are facilitated trainings that you go through with a group and have weekly discussions and activities that you do. Our next session will be starting July 10th. So if anyone's interested in joining that, we just started advertising it. Please go to our website, sign up. There's plenty of room left. And it's free CEUs. So we'd love to have you join us. But other than that, we also have some shorter 1 to 2 hour trainings that you might be interested in. And we hope you'll look on our website. We have some modules that teach about, I touched on what description is. I've touched on what captioning is. We have some 2 hour modules that teach you a little more in depth. And at the end, you get a certificate of completion. Those are great for teachers and families to go through to just learn a little bit more. We actually have a student edition to learn about what audio description is, because we've learned that a lot of blind and low vision students didn't know how to use the resource and would actually say they didn't like audio description because they didn't know what it was supposed to be and how to use it. So we developed another module for the kids to learn what it was and how to self-advocate. We have a Let's Describe module that is designed for parents and teachers to describe on the fly. If they're going to a museum or to the park on a field trip, how do you describe what's happening for a student who is blind or low vision? And that one's actually in English and Spanish. And we have a new one that will be out actually in the next couple of weeks. This is designed for general education teachers who get their first student who is blind or low vision, and they don't know what to do with them. This is going to be a 3-hour training. They can go through and get a crash course in working with students with vision loss. Many of our videos also come with additional resources and lesson guides that can help teachers use them so they don't even have to create their own lesson plans. And there are lots of links and resources that they can use with those as well. And as long as they have that one qualifying student, they can use our videos with their entire class. Even if it's a high school teacher who has multiple sections of a class, they can use us with all those sections. They can set up student accounts for all of their students. We want to make sure that that student with a disability isn't left out, so we're including everybody in our resources. When you sign up, you're going to get a monthly newsletter. You're not going to get a ton of emails, but those monthly newsletters are going to tell you about videos that relate to holidays, current events, things that you can use that upcoming month with your students and with your classes. And as I promised, here's that QR code again. So I hope that you will fill out the additional evaluation for us so we can keep our funding going. But I'm going to leave a few minutes here at the end to answer questions and just find out what other things you would like to know and how I can help you learn more about captions and audio descriptions, and perhaps even adding ASL to videos. What questions do you have?
This is Aurora. I'm keeping an eye on the chat. You can also use the raise hand feature, and then I'll be happy to take you off of mute if you want to ask a question.
I may have done too good a job of explaining everything.
You were so thorough, Cindy. This was really wonderful. All right, we've got a question coming in from the chat. Is this available for students with dyslexia? Our school encourages captions for reading practice. That's a really great question. I'd love if you could speak to that a little bit about the intersection of reading disabilities or print-based disabilities and captioning.
It definitely is available for students with dyslexia. Just go to our website, fill out the application, and it's going to ask you what disability groups you work with, and just go ahead and sign up. Now, you'll turn the captions on and the students can read along with those, but you can also download that transcript that I showed you. And the transcript feature has several different uses. You can actually pre-teach vocabulary. So if you know you want to show a video, the teacher can go ahead and download that transcript, go through and see what vocabulary words might be problematic. Go ahead and teach those to the students. And then when they come up in the video, ask the students to be on the lookout for them. Ask them to find them in the captions. You can give those transcripts, you could print them out and hand them out to students and have them highlight important points in the video. I like using those instead of the fill in the blank questions as you go through the video, which actually are not that accessible because there's a myth that we can multitask, and we can't. What we do is jump from one thing to the next. And so when we ask students to do those fill in the blanks while watching a video, we're actually asking them to split their attention, and they're missing out. It's not just those students with a disability who are missing out. It's all of the students. So we can use these accessible videos to make some more inclusive activities that may help the entire class. And I think it's really good if we could get all teachers to understand, having the caption zone for every video all the time is a really good idea, because it does help all of the students when they're able to read along with high quality captions while they're listening to the video. It reinforces. I think we've probably all heard the axiom that the more senses we're using, the more we're learning. If you're seeing it, if you're hearing it, if you're reading it. And so why wouldn't we use all of those things when they're available? So the Universal Design for Learning principles make things accessible to those with disabilities for who it's critical and absolutely necessary, but they enhance learning for all students.
Thanks, Cindy. This is Aurora. Naomi just dropped in the chat a link to a webinar survey. We have a couple of minutes left, so if you're here and you want to give us some feedback, you can also scan the QR code that's on the screen, and we will also follow up with links to both of these surveys. Filling out the survey for DCMP, as Cindy explained, really helps support the federal funding for this program, and keep all this incredible information, all these wonderful resources free and accessible to everyone. So we want to show our support. We want to get involved. Some great ways to do that just by following up with the QR code on your screen. Cindy, do you have that link maybe available to drop into the chat right now, if you happen to have it? And if not, totally fine. We'll email it out later.
I did not have it ready.
I know. I was just thinking that. No, it's fine. I will. Everybody who registered, whether they were able to attend or not, I'll send them out a list of resources, including the link to your QR code. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else out there have questions, comments, maybe some success stories? Have you used accessible media in your classroom before? How'd that go? How'd that work? Well, my question for you, Cindy, would be, what are some of the common challenges or obstacles that you hear? I mean, I could imagine, it's what you laid out today seems so, accessible and realistic and ready to use. But, I know that sometimes, teachers, implementing a new system can be challenging. What are some common maybe challenges or obstacles that you've heard?
So, yeah, a lot of times I mentioned teachers don't realize that quality is so critical with these issues. And so if a child who is deaf or hard of hearing, they may have a captioner in the classroom or an interpreter, or they may have an FM system, and the teacher says, oh, well, I want to show this video, and it doesn't have captions, but your interpreter can sign it for you. Or, oh, your FM system, you can hear it well enough. Or we'll turn on the YouTube automatic captions. And again, what they're really saying is, I didn't plan ahead, and I don't want to take the time to make sure it's accessible for you. So you have to make do. And we don't think that way, but consider how if, you went into a classroom at a deaf school where everybody's signing and they said, oh, well, we didn't bring an interpreter. You don't sign? Oh, it's okay. Just watch. You'll pick up enough.
Wow. Yeah.
And we would feel so out of place and so left out, because if you don't know the language, you don't pick it up. Audio description. Have you ever closed your eyes and tried to watch TV? We miss so much. And we may, have the TV on in the background while we're doing other things. How many times do you turn and look because you know you missed something? But what if you can't look at it? So it just pays to keep in mind that there are students who are missing out on critical information, and it's our responsibility because there are resources. It just may take a little bit of time to locate them. And DCMP is trying to make it easy for you. We try and put them all in one place.
On behalf of the Educating All Learners Alliance and Described and Captioned Media Program, thank you all so much for joining us for today's webinar. We've dropped some survey links in the chat. Please take a moment to fill that out to help keep us informed on what you want to see next at ELA webinars, and any feedback you have would be greatly appreciated. You can check out our website at educatingalllearners.org. Follow us on Twitter at educateall_org. Be sure to check out DCMP at their website, dcmp.org. Keep an eye out for an email with links and other information. I'll be sending that out in one to 2 business days. And thanks again for joining us, Cindy. It was wonderful speaking with you. Thanks for everybody who spent their time with us today. And with that, I think we can wrap it up. Cindy, any closing thoughts for us out there?
That's all. I did finally find the link to the form. There we go. So you have it to email out to.
That's wonderful. Great.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
All right. We did too. It was great working with you, Cindy. And thanks everybody out there. Thanks in the chat for your participation and joining us today. All right. Signing off. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye-bye.